Alice Stewart has joined us before. She's a former communications director for the Cruz campaign for president and Huckabee campaign for president. Alice, welcome back to the show. How are you today?
I am great, Chad. It's really great to talk to you. I hope you survived last night and this morning. I think the earth shook as Chris Matthews had another thrill up his leg when he found out that Beto O'Rourke was running.
Yeah, he is so excited, and the national news media very excited that that Beto O'Rourke's running. And you know, listen, obviously those of us here in Texas, we're very familiar with what Beto O'Rourke almost pulled off against Senator Ted Cruz here in this state. When looking at a national level, what is the expectation, in your opinion, of a Beto O'Rourke? Could he pull off what he did in Texas on a national level?
Look, first of all, I think we'll all admit that the race between Beto and Ted was much closer than we would have liked. However, Beto did do a good job of raising money and getting his message out there. I cannot take that away from him. He did a fine job. However, his far left policies are not what this country wants. He is in a long list of Democrats who are swinging the Democratic Party so far to the left, they're gonna fall off the edge of California, and it's just not what our country wants. And certainly, they can duke it out, and I think their main problem is they are so focused on attracting and luring in these far left candidates that are support open borders and Green New Deals and Second Amendment. Curtailing our Second Amendment rights and Medicare for all and free college for everybody. Those policies are not what America wants. And if they continue to push candidates like this, they will get their far left candidate for the primary, but that person is not going to beat Donald Trump come time for the general.
You know, visiting with Alice Stewart here on the Chad Hasty Show, when you look at a Beto O'Rourke and how he ran in Texas against Senator Ted Cruz, he didn't put a lot of policy on the table, right? Unless you kind of read between some of the lines, he didn't come right out and put some policy on the table. What we've heard from Beto O'Rourke is still, since trying to find himself on the road trip and tap dancing around this announcement, since then we've heard him embrace, have we not, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We've heard him embrace the Green New Deal. We've heard him embrace some of the more leftist positions that he maybe did not want to take when running in Texas. How does that impact him moving forward?
It impacts him like it will impact all the rest of the Democrats who have done the exact same thing. If they can't stand up to AOC and the Green New Deal, they are not going to be able to stand up to Donald Trump. I mean, those policies, $93 trillion Green New Deal and those socialist policies they have, that might be well and good with the new freshman class of congressmen that are getting a lot of headlines and attention in Washington. But you take that across Iowa, you take it across parts of Texas, and certainly around the South, those aren't popular policies.
Yeah.
And again, they are moving so far to the left to satisfy the new wing of the Democratic Party. They are ignoring the fact that they have a general election they have to win, and those policies are simply not going to do it. And Beto's too cute by half announcement, I think is not going to work. I'm not going to be one to advise the Democratic Party. However, they would be much better served with someone like a Joe Biden, who is more of a moderating voice and more moderating a candidate with regard to the issues and is willing to work across the aisle, as opposed to all of these others who want to stand on the left and have everyone come to them, and that's just not going to work.
You just brought up someone who I wanted to ask you about next, and that is the former Vice President, Joe Biden. It appears as though maybe early next month he's going to jump into this. from the Democrat Party that you're looking at, again, I know that you don't want to advise the Democrat Party on anything, but from the Democrat Party that you are looking at today in 2019, is there space for Joe Biden in this party?
Of course there is. If they want to look at the long ball, and Chad, I'll refer you back to CPAC, the huge conservative group gathering in Washington, D.C. just recently. They took a vote on who they would most fear from the Democrat Party in terms of who would be the most difficult challenger for Donald Trump, and they chose Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And the fact that Republicans, like myself, recognize he would be someone that would be a tremendous challenge for this president. I think Trump would ultimately win, but Joe Biden would be the biggest force to overtake. That right there says quite a bit. And
but is that the loudest voices that you hear in the Democrat Party now? And it seems like the grassroots of the Democrat Party, they don't want that. They don't want even someone who might be looked at as a moderate voice. It seems to me they want that far left candidate. Does it not? Do they not?
They do. They do, because they're looking at the primary right now. They're looking at what's going to happen on February 3rd in Iowa and the few weeks after that. But at some point, they're going to recognize two things that the party establishment will remind them of, two important things that they seem to have forgotten over the last two presidential cycles. Number one is you have to nominate a candidate that can actually win in the general. And number two, presidential candidates are won and lost by electoral college, not by popular vote. If they want to go and continue to pretend like they can get a far-left candidate and think they can go out there and be popular and win, that's not going to happen. You have to have the best candidate for the general, and you also have to realize you have to play an electoral college game. It's different. It takes strategy. It takes a lot of thought, a lot of planning, and connecting in the Rust Belt states and the flyover states that Democrats hold their nose in. But they're going to have to approach this race much differently than they have in the last time, or they're going to lose again.
Visiting with Alice Stewart here on the Chad Hasty Show. Before I let you go, there's a piece out today in the New York Times with the headline, Why Texas is Nearing Battleground Status, and it's not just about Beto. What do you think? Is Texas nearing battleground status? I hate to call it a purple state at this point, because I don't think we are, but what do you think? When looking at this state and looking at 2020, is Texas a battleground?
I think a lot of the liberal media are still basking in the glow of South by Southwest and all of the news they heard out of Austin and all of the attention that Austin got. And it did draw attention to how red Austin is, but I spent a lot of time in Texas on the Cruz campaign, and I see much of the state that supports Republican candidates, and I don't see that changing. Are Democrats making some inroads? Yes. But is Texas ready to go that way? I do not see that at all. Texas people support conservative policies. They support strong economic policies. They support strong national security, strong on the border, life issues, Second Amendment, and those are policies that resonate across Texas, not these liberal policies that are coming through. So I think what we're still seeing is a little trickle-down effect from the high of South by Southwest by the national media, and that will go away soon.
And it's also what we saw in the last Senate campaign, and a little bit of that Beto effect at that point. Obviously, the red West Texas firewall is there. How do we get those Republicans in the major urban areas to make sure they get out and vote? Because that's going to be key, is it not, in 2020?
It is. You drive home the message that's working by this administration. We have strong economic numbers. We're working hard now, and he's making progress on certainly on border security. And for me, Chad, my number one issue for voting for Trump was the Supreme Court. And look, we've got two in my view, Scalia-like justices that support the fidelity to the Constitution, and we have the potential for more. Supreme Court is a real motivating factor for voters. So remind them we have the opportunity to continue to nominate Scalia-like justices, and that is a huge motivating factor. That affects us much longer than any of these other issues. These are lifetime appointments. So reminding them of the value of their vote on the key issues that we are seeing success in, that will motivate voters more than anything.
Alice Stewart, thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. We'll visit with you as the 2020 season continues.
I look forward to it. Thanks, Chad. Have a great day.
That's Alice Stewart here on the Chad Hasty Show. News Talk, KFYO.